Some of it, like I said, there is subjectivity. I've never denied that subjectivity exists. If you took like Stevens on Safari versus The Passings, you could make arguments for either of those poems being greater. If you're someone who likes a little bit more mystery, uh, what is looking at. I mean, even though it says Stevens on Safari, there's a deep strain of Rilke in that poem. So this is more obviously indebted to a knowledge of poetry and great poems of the past. Whereas the passings, you don't even have to recognize the shout outs to Carl Sagan's Cosmos or anything. There is just, and you don't even have to recognize that there are aspects that are personal to me. So that poem is more out there, and it's actually going more for say an emotional gut punch. I've talked about how the last line reuses Philip Larkin's ending from High Windows and Robert Frost's from Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening. So there's also pulling in other poems there in a totally different way than I use it in the Stevens on Safari, which references Stevens and also has a strain of Rilke in it. So which is a greater usage, for example, of that? You could argue either way. As long as they're great, it doesn't really matter to me. I'm always striving to do something great. The spy book that I'm working on right now, I want it to be a great novel, but I can tell you it's great in a totally different way than Vincetti Brothers or Tumbleweeds or A Norwegian in the Family or my Western book was. And you know, when you read A Norwegian in the Family, that's basically a dark comedy. You can't. It's got dramatic moments in it, and there's lots of drama in it. But that book is essentially a comedy. The spy book I'm doing is not a comedy, although there are some comic moments in it. So again, how do you compare Doctor Strangelove to 2001: A Space Odyssey? People would argue that one or the other is Kubrick's greatest film.